Today we are going to see about India, the relief features. So in this India relief features, let us learn what is the meaning of the word relief features. Relief features are nothing but the different landforms which are existing in our country. As we know, our country name is India. India, we have a variety of landforms. So before going into the details of the lesson, let us know what is the location of our country. Now how do we locate a country? We are having two lines drawn parallelly and we have crisscross boxes on the world map. When we observe it, we can see a number of boxes covering the entire world map. So how do we come into a conclusion that where is the exact country? So the lines which are running horizontally are called latitudes. The lines which are running vertically are known as longitudes. So taking these two lines, the degrees of comparison, we can get the location of any particular country. Now coming to India's location, it comes in the northern part of the country, the world globe. So you can see the globe, if it is drawn on the world map, equator divides the entire globe into two equal parts. India comes in the northern hemisphere, that is clear by the location of the latitudes, that is 8 degrees to 37 degrees 6 inches north, and coming to the longitudes, it is towards the eastern part, that is from 68 degrees to 97 degrees 25 inches east. So when we come to the clarity of this, like where is India located, it comes into Asian continent, it comes into the northeastern part, and a small portion of it, it comes towards very close to the equator. Equator passes down of India. So we have in the southern part of India, we have a hot climatic type of condition. So this we are getting the clarity by the latitudes and the longitudes location. Now let us come to the time zone. How can we determine the time of a nation like India? So coming to the time zone of India location, basing on the latitudes and longitudes, we can get a clear idea of what is the location or time zone of any particular country. Let's come to India, the standard time zone of the world. Let us see the entire world map. We have latitudes and longitudes. We use latitude and longitudes not only for the location of any particular country, but we also use them for determining the time zones of various places. Now as latitudes, equator is the 0 degree latitude. Coming to the longitudes, the 0 degree longitude is known as prime meridian or important Greenwich longitude or like Greenwich meridian. Coming to the point here, it passes through London at a place called Greenwich. So it is also known as Greenwich meridian or Greenwich longitudes. So that is considered as 0 degree longitude, and the place zone is considered as the perfect time for the world. And coming to India, like India location, we have seen from 8 degrees to 37 degrees of latitudes and 68 degrees to 97 degrees of longitudes. So how can we determine the time zone of our country India? Like we are having a gap. If you see any like latitudes or longitudes, we have 30 degrees here and 30 degrees here crisscrossing each other. So how can we determine the exact time of our country? You get a variation, like if you are in Gujarat, you get the time zone later when compared to a state like in Arunachal Pradesh, where the sun rises in the east very soon, and by the time it comes to Gujarat, you have a variation of nearly 2 hours. How do you get the time variation of 2 hours in the same country? Then what is the time zone that we have to take for calculation of our day-to-day activities? How can we determine that one? So to avoid such kind of confusions, our great meteorologists have studied and detailed analysis of this and came to a conclusion that let us take the half mark, the exact half mark between 68 to 97, that is 82 degrees 30 inches will be the Indian standard time for the calculation of Indian time zone along with the world time zones. So when we take it from 0 degree Greenwich meridian time zone to our Indian standard time zone, that is 82 degrees 30 inches, you have a gap of nearly 5.5 hours, where Greenwich meridian is later to us, or like passing over a distance of 5.5 hour gap between Indian standard time and the Greenwich meridian standard time. So like that we come to the conclusion of the introduction of the lesson, like what is a relief features? Relief features meaning is that we have different landforms like mountains, plains, plateaus and different islands, deserts. All these we will be studying in the different types of landforms. It is collectively known as relief features. What is the location of our country? It is 8 degrees 37 inches to 68 degrees 97 degrees in the east. And coming to the time zone, the standard time zone of the world is Greenwich meridian, that is a 0 degree longitude or prime meridian, and Indian standard time is 82 degrees 30 inches, that is known as Indian standard time. It passes through Allahabad and it is 5.5 degrees variation between the Greenwich Meridian time and the Indian Standard Time. Let us see the geological background of the formation of our country, India. How is India formed? Now let us see what is the meaning of the word geological background. See, geological background is not like something rocket science. It is just simply meaning that geographically how is India formed. What is geographically meaning? Like how was India earlier? Like what was the collisions happened in the landforms? Like there are two landmass, entire landmass of the world is divided into two major landforms, that is Angara land and the Gondwana land. The Indian landmass is a part of the Gondwana land. In the process of its transformation, when the earth plates are rotating, Gondwana land got transformed and moved towards the northeastern part and collided the Angara land, that is the Eurasian plate, and formed the landmass of India. In the gap between the Gondwana land and the Angara land, we have a big sea known as Tethys Sea. This Tethys Sea got buckled up for millions of years, and result of this buckled up and compressed forces which raised the water bodies to a higher level, the sea which is in the down level moved up and got buckled up, and because it is moving to a higher elevation, it got freezed and formed the present day Himalayas. So Himalayas are nothing but a water body which was buckled up with the external force of the earth's, of the movement of Angara land and the Gondwana land, when they were compressed by the earth plates movements and got buckled up for millions of years, not for one day, it was millions of years. Then it formed the Himalayas. The present day Himalayas are so elevated and so cool, like so completely covered with the frozen zones, is because of this kind of process which happened so many million years ago. Now from the Himalayas we have the origination of various perennial rivers. I think we all have an idea like what are the meaning of the word perennial rivers. The perennial rivers are the rivers which originate from the Himalayas and they never dry up. They don't have any summer dry ups or they don't have any breakups because of the lack of rains. So the perennial rivers are a continuous flowing rivers throughout the year from Jan to December. So these rivers like Ganga, Yamuna and Brahmaputra have they started their journey from Himalayas and moved towards the respective lands, and while they pass in the journey or the process of journey, they carried a lot of mud, sand, soil, everything, and fill the lands which are empty in the other northern part of Himalayas and fill them and made them a fertile lands or plain lands which are very good for cultivation. That resulted in the formation of our famous Great Plains, what we are having for us in our northern part of the Himalayas. Then we have the plateaus for us. We shall discuss about this in the next part in detail. In the previous one, we have discussed about how the Himalayas are formed, how the process of the Himalayas, geological process and the background, we have discussed it. Now let us see what are the Himalayas exactly at present right now. The Himalayas are extending from north to the northeastern range and covering the entire distance of nearly 2400 kilometers, and it has an area which is occupied of nearly 5 lakh square kilometers from Jammu and Kashmir to Arunachal Pradesh region. They have a width of nearly 500 kilometers near the Jammu region. As they move on towards the northeast, the width goes on reducing from 500, in some areas it is 300, then it moves on to 200. As it reaches to Arunachal Pradesh region, it comes to its lowest, that is 90 kilometers of the width. So Himalayas are the largest young folded mountains what we have for us in our world in the present day, which are the young folded mountains. In the sense, you can imagine how much young they are, means the mountains which we are having in the other parts are older mountains. These are formed nearly 70 million years ago. These are the youngest folded mountains what we are having right now. Now coming to the Himalayan division, Himalayas are divided into three parts, 1, 2, 3. The first part is known as Greater Himalayas, or in the technical terms it is known as Himadri. The average height of the Himadri range or the mountain ranges which are present in the Greater Himalayas are 6100 kilometers from the sea level. If you take the consideration from the normal sea level, it is 6100 meters, not kilometers. It is meters from the sea level, where it covers to a highest elevation all the highest peaks in the world like Mount Everest, Mount K2 range, all these falls in this range of the height. And this is completely snow bounded region, and it is comprised of all the glaciers and these glaciers melt, tilt and move on, and they get buckled up, and these are the major sources which when they start to melt become the sources of the perennial rivers, which are the continuous flow of the rivers. So we got a clear picture like what are Himalayas, length and width. The length is 2400 kilometers, the width is from 500 kilometers on the northern part of Jammu and Kashmir to by it moves to the Arunachal Pradesh, it gets up to 90. In the middle it is from 300, 200, it varies in the regions and different places. And the entire Himalayas are divided into three parts. They are Greater Himalayas, the first part. The Greater Himalayas are also known as Himadri region. The average height is 6100 kilometers for them. All the highest peaks in the world exists here, and they are 6100 meters from the sea level. Completely they are snow bounded, and it comprises of glaciers, and the melting of the glaciers is the source for the perennial rivers.